Hi, and welcome to another episode of Tool Talk. I'm Mark the Window Cleaner, this show brought to you by WindowCleaningResource.com. Well, I've noticed in the last few days there's a certain smell in the air, and you've probably noticed it too. Spring is just around the corner. I think we only have about 2 weeks left, and that spring peak window cleaning season is going to be upon us, and we're all going to be so busy we won't even be able to think. Good news, right? Yes. Anyway, thinking about spring, we have to think about other things besides money. We have to think about our tool setup. Might be a little bit different for the spring than compared to winter, especially if you're in the northern part of the world where maybe you're just doing a little bit of commercial over the winter to tie you over. Getting back into residential window cleaning into the spring means you have to maybe set up your equipment just a little bit differently. And what I'm talking about here, let's say, well, in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the heavy-duty scrubber sleeves. The reason why I'm thinking about a heavy-duty scrubber sleeve right now is because I'm going to be picking up new customers. Customers I've never cleaned windows before in my life, and I'll be getting them for the first time, and it might even be the first time for them getting their windows done. And chances are I'm going to be hitting a lot of windows that are very, very dirty. Maybe they've had years of dirt, pollution, pollen, you name it. And in other words, this is what we call our first-time cleans. And this is a type of window that you don't, you could try just your basic microfiber sleeve, but chances are you're going to have to also do a lot of razoring, scraping that is, So there is another way to tackle these kind of windows, and that's to use an extra duty scrubbing sleeve. And I want to show you a couple that are quite popular. And starting off, we have the Ettore Porcupine sleeve. Now the Porcupine sleeve is like two sleeves in one. It's your basic regular scrubber pad, but if you take a look up close, it has thousands of these extra scrubbing bristles all along the width of the scrubber sleeve. This is very, very handy for getting, like I say, pollen or dirt that's been on the windows for a very long time. Excellent for a first-time clean. And it's actually pretty good too for retaining water. When I first got the sleeve, I wasn't sure how much water would be held in it. I said, okay, well, it's got a lot of these extra bristles on it, which means anything that, the bristles don't absorb water, so maybe it's not going to hold that much. But it actually does a pretty decent job. And, you can clean, 3 or 4 exterior windows without even thinking about having to go back to the bucket, so that's pretty good. Now, the next sleeve I want to show you this is by Unger. Now, I've just heard it called the scrubber sleeve. I've also heard it called the roughest sleeve. This one's a little bit older than what you'll see online there at WindowCleaningResource.com. I bought this one a couple of years ago, and the new one looks a little bit different, and I'll explain that in a minute. The roughest sleeve is basically a general sleeve on the one side. I think it's a lamb's wool material. And on the other side, you basically have this scrubber pad that goes across the entire width. Now, if you buy, a quality sleeve, like let's say this microfiber sleeve, you'll usually notice that there's like a little extra scrubber pad right at the end. And usually when you hold your scrubber up and you have some bird droppings or something, you just use that little scrubber pad to do a little detail scrubbing there. Well, this is basically the same thing, except it goes right across the entire width. And it's very good for clearing off a lot of stubborn either pollen or bird droppings on a window. And the only thing is, with this particular sleeve, because it has that all on one side, you first have to kind of soak the window down with the one side, the side with the lamb's wool here, that wets it all down, soaps it down, then flip it around, then you do your scrubbing. Because of that, obviously this sleeve isn't going to hold as much water as you're probably used to. In actual fact, I found it a little bit frustrating the first couple times using this, simply because of that reason. I want to get as many windows as I can without having to go back to the bucket. I like to wear a nice bucket on the belt. I can just put it in my holster there and go do that window, that window, that window, come back. This one here, it's like after you're doing a couple windows, you're back to the bucket. So, great scrubbability, but lacking in water retention. Now, what I would recommend the powers that be at Unger would do, because I love the scrubbing action of the sleeve, is why not give the user a choice, or the consumer a choice, of getting this particular type of scrubber pad on a monsoon sleeve, for instance, which holds a whole slew of water, or any other microfibers even. I mean, that would be quite handy, I think, and maybe something for them to think about. But between these two sleeves, you pretty much got what you need for those first-time cleans. Use a good quality soap, your Glass Clean 4 or your other preferred soap, and between that and a little elbow grease, you should have no problems with your first-time cleans, getting that pollen off, getting bird droppings and whatnot. In actual fact, with the porcupine sleeve, I find more often than not, when I approach a window with this first, I don't have to razor nearly as many windows. And the less time you have to pull out a scraper, the better, in my opinion. Anyway, these two sleeves both can be bought at windowcleaningresource.com. Like I said, this one is an older one from Unger, and the newer one, actually, the scrubbing pad is a green color. So it might look a little bit different than this one, but it's still pretty much the same product. So go check them out, windowcleaningresource.com. Take care.